Hey fellow vampires, welcome to another video. Today we're gonna do something different. This has been a highly requested video by you guys, that we show you how we come up with our castle builds. And before we start with more in detailed depth on how we do it, I'd like to say thank you for all the views, for all the comments, for all the likes. We really appreciate it a lot. The channel hit 100,000 views last week, and we'd like to thank you for all the support we've been getting on behalf of myself and Kenz. So we hope to see you in the future more for other videos. The first step of any castle build is for us to clear out the area. So as you can see now, is that we just clear out the area that we build on. It just gives a bit of an overview of what we have to work with. If we were playing on like an official server, we would keep the production lines in place, but we would still clear everything out, and while we make the layout we would just move things around out of the way. But this is always the first step. It's clearing out. The second step for us is to usually have an idea. Well, for me at least, have an idea, and the idea could be something really simple. It could be like, for example, the bluestone citadel I built. The only idea I had there was to use that plot that I built it on with the two rises in the plot to connect them with a bridge and have a garden in between. Well, for this build I had also an idea. I really like the new trees they put in the game. The weeping willows, I think they're called. I think they look amazing. They have instantly become like my most favorite tree in the game, and I sort of wanted to honor them in a way. But I didn't want to do that in like a conventional garden style. So what I came up with is an idea that I saw in real life. I once was in an office building, and they had a garden in the middle of the office building that you could not access, but you could see. And the top of the garden, the roof was open, and I thought of doing that here as well. So in my head I already had like a basic layout made, and the basic layout for me was a T shape. The top part of the T, the horizontal bit, I wanted the stairs to go up and down there, within the center a 2x2 piece where I would put the trees, and then on the vertical axis of the T, so from up to down, I would put more of those, whatever the plot that I built on allowed me, and then adjacent to them I would put all the production rooms. In order for me to get that open roof feeling, I knew beforehand that I could not build a closed area on the top of the castle, because then I would just get a roof over it, and that's something that I didn't really want. So what you see me do here is basically working on layout. It's for me the most important step of any castle build, and it's something that I rather spend a bit more time on than less, because if you get the layout right and it feels nice and it feels like there's a flow to it, it's just gonna benefit you in the end. So that's all I do, is just work out on the layout. I don't put any decorations. The only thing is that I decide, okay, this is where I want what to go. So I decide this is the workshop, this is the forge. I already have an idea of how big I want the rooms to be based on experience. Like I know like a forge needs way more room than a jewel crafter, for example. So I keep those things in mind when building a castle. For this castle I wanted to limit myself to official server limitations, meaning 3 floors with a maximum tiles of 550. However, this plot only has like 114 tiles, I think it is, so I would never get to that 550. I think in the end I end up with 290 tiles in this build. As you can see, at some point I just start walking around. If I'm happy with things, I fly over the castle, I just have a look, it's like, okay, is this gonna be the basic shape that I come up with? And in the end I think I'm quite happy with it because I start decorating. So after I build the layout, the thing I do is I do room by room, I fill them up with things that I want to fill up. I decide on a color theme, I decide on what lights will I be using, and in this build, here you can see me putting some lights on the wall and then choosing which lights to go with. In this castle I went with a white as the main color, so you see me painting the walls white later. And I wanted like light blue tints because it's in the winter zone and I wanted to have a bit of coldish atmosphere. And I wanted to have like gold highlight tints, so anything that I could make gold, like painting frames and stuff, I would do, and having the curtains with, of course, the golden version on it. So this is now the next step on the build, just doing room by room, and this is also a process of like trial and error. You can't get everything right the same time, and sometimes even you change things in the layout to make it work. For example, in the jewel crafting room I noticed I could use the area behind the stairs to extend the jewel crafting room a little bit, and that's what I will do here. As you can see, I will add an extra tile, and then based on that I will just try to make this room work. And here I come up with the wallpaper. Like I said, I was gonna go with a white theme, and I decided to have a different column and a different wall, and I was gonna use this throughout the whole castle, so you're gonna see me paint a lot of walls later on as well, like the way it was pre 1.0. So you see me make some final changes to the jewel crafting room. This was the first room that I actually finished and was happy with. It could also be that you make a room and you're just not happy with how it looks and you can't really come up with a solution. You'll see that happen in this video as well. I just walk away, come back later. Normally I do these builds in a couple of evenings, and this time I did it in like 2 sessions. And walking away really helps. It just, sometimes you just get an idea of, oh, if I do this or that, then that will look great. Here you see me on the tailoring room. This is one of those rooms that I couldn't figure out. I thought the size of the room, so I have 10 tiles here, or 11 tiles actually. I thought that would be big enough for the tailoring room, but the shape, it didn't really work out in a way. I wish I had a little bit more space, like maybe 1 or 2 tiles extra. Would have made my life easier here. So you see me try a lot of things, and I can't figure it out. So I will come back to the tailoring room in a later time. And you can see there's a lot of time going into this room, and that's just because I'm stuck in my head. Like I couldn't figure it out, so it's just try, and at some point I'm like, okay, I gotta move somewhere else it won't happen. Now we move on to the alchemy room. While I was going through the building menu, I saw those altar things, and I always wanted to try that idea. And I decided, okay, I have a nice spot for that now, so let me put them there and see how it works out. So I just abandoned what I'm doing to just have, just use the idea that I have at this point. You see me going AFK here a while, but it looks really great. I like it, and I will add a light on top of it later, and it looks like the light is actually part of the construction, which is a happy accident. Now I move on to the forge. Forge, for me personally, is my most favorite room to create, and that's because of I like the production lines in the forge. I think they look really cool. Forge always has to be a bit bigger as well because of it. Like a 3x3 room would not do in a forge, so if you build a forge, make sure you have a bit more tiles than what you would have in like a gem room. I'm not sure how many tiles this forge is, but it looks like at least about 20 tiles, which is like double the size of the gem room. And you see me just work on shapes, and I had this big open area in the middle and it didn't look great, so I decided to put a wall in to divide the room a bit more. And that's really a big tip. Don't make rooms too big. And if you do and have big empty areas, make use of other walls to make them a bit smaller. And I think it worked out quite well in this forge. And as you can see, I'm just putting up the decorations I'm gonna put in the forge. I like really making the forge as one of the rooms I finish early on. In the beginning, I thought I wanted to put the throne room on the top, and then I had the idea to put the castle heart and the throne in one room. But I abandoned that for now and moved on to the next bit. Now we come on to the biggest headache of the castle, and that is the entry. It is a huge room, 4x4, 16 tiles of basically no purpose, and filling it up is really difficult, and I struggled a lot with it, but I come up later on with a solution. So mentally I'm getting stuck, so I decide to just do something that I don't really have to think about, and it's putting the wallpaper on the outside. And because I chose 2 different wallpapers, I kind of had to make the wallpaper like old school way, right? Not shift click all, but shift click the pillars and then adding the walls one at a time. Again, you saw me look at the entrance and I'm like stunned still at this point, like what am I gonna do there? However, I promise you that later on I come up with a solution that just makes life easier. So I decide to put some decorations up and then move on to the prison and the alchemy lab. And I came up with the idea to remove that summoning circle from the alchemy lab and put it on the same floor, but then in the hallway, like above where the other altar things are. And I think that looks pretty great, and it gives me a bit more room to work with here as well. And I decided to put like a split between the prison and the alchemy lab and put the vermin nest inside. This way I could keep the prison a bit open as well, because you can put a door at the entry of the prison, so you don't have to put like prison doors in front of the prisoners. So you just see me here decorating, nothing else really. It's just doing room by room, putting the wallpaper up, putting everything in place. And sometimes it really helps to just put in advance, like put down, okay, these are things that I want to have in the room when it comes to production, but also decoration. I always like to go through the decoration menu to see what else can I put inside a room to make it look nice. You see me put some things down, and I think I'm gonna abandon Alchemy Lab and move somewhere else because I was stuck again in my head, and I needed to do something that I didn't have to think about. Like I said, normally I build these castles in a few nights, and then you have time to process things in your head as well. But this time I did it in I built this castle in like a day, the same day, in like 2 sessions. You see me here. I thought about the 3 tiles that I had on both floors behind the stairway, and I think I'm gonna finish them now. At first I thought just to keep them empty, and I had a feeling that some people would be commenting like, why would you leave empty room, do something with it? So I remembered a video I saw from OnFirePF. He's a great builder as well. You should check his channel out too. He builds great castles. In his last video he had like a storage room, and I thought it would be perfect there. After the build is finished and I edited all the videos, I came up with other ideas to do there. I came up with like a secret, how to say, like a worshipping altar, or like teleportation places to put them there. It's not going to be there in the final thing, but what I always have on my builds is there after you're done, and after I make the videos and whatever not, I come up with ideas how I would do things differently. On any castle I have that, so I would probably change at least one of those storage rooms into like I think a worshipping altar would fit with the theme and the story that I created later. But I won't spoil the story right now. That will come when I release the video of the build. Now I come back to the main entry room, the headache room of the build, and the problem here I had is it was too big. That was the problem, and because it's so big it's empty and filling it up is hard. So sometimes it's best to just make rooms smaller, and that is gonna be the solution as well. At first I thought I wanted to put the library on top, and then I thought here I will make that decision. Put the library on top, and after a while I was like, what if I just make the library in the front, then you still have a decent hallway, and then I don't need the library on top, which means I have more space for other things there. So I have to adjust the entrance as well of the castle, which you see me do as well here. And I think this works out way better, and it's fine. It's much better than what it was. It was just a too big open space. So my advice to everyone is that if your space is too big, then make them a bit smaller. You know, bigger is not always better. So you see me finishing decorations there, and I had to fix some things because I put walls, and the entry had to be changed, so that's what I did as well. So small fixes in a change of layout, and that happens sometimes in builds where you're decorating already and then you think like, oh, but what if I change the layout like this? Would that work better? And I advise you just to try it out. If it doesn't work out, then the worst thing that can happen is that you just lost a bit of time, because rebuilding usually is not that big of a deal. So I saw the music box as well, and I thought in the building menu, and I thought it would be nice to put it in the library. So when I come up with like ideas for a certain room, like aha moments I would say, I would make sure that I just do that straight away, because else you forget about it. Now you see that I'm designing the throne room a bit. The main idea first was to put the throne on top, but combining it with the heart room I think works out pretty well, and I didn't really want a huge throne room, so I think it works out great to put it there, and it again gives me space on top to do other things. At this point I figured out a story as well for the castle, so you see me turning the gargoyles into angels. Again, the story will come for later, I won't spoil that here today. And what you see me do now is just a little check, looking around and having a last minute check before I take a little break. And before I take my break, you can see me just put the lights up on the outside of the wall. And then we move on to the last bits. So there's just a few rooms left to make and some hallways to decorate. Like I said, I like to stick with the color theme, but I also like to stick with similar type of decorations. So if I pick a vase, I like to use the same vase. If I pick a brazier, I like to use the same type throughout, because it feels like the castle, everything belongs together, rather than having things different everywhere. So this is the decorating process. It's just a bit of putting things on walls, making it look nice, and too little I think is not good, but too much is also not good. So it's a matter of putting things and then figuring out if it looks nice. What really is important as well is that taste is subjective, so if you like things to be a bit busier, if you like more lights or like more decorations, then do them, but if you don't like them that much, then don't do it. It's your castle after all, so just do what you like, in a way. So here's some checks on the lights, I think. And I think I'm checking the rooms a bit, and I figure out that the Alchemy lab wasn't done, so I decide to do that right here. And it's just a matter of putting things in its place. At this point the castle it really is almost finished. There's not much left to do. I think it's just the tailoring room left after this and the top floor. And the top floor will only have 3 rooms and a balcony. Like 3 small rooms. So it's not too bad. Again here, a small break. I think those are important. So that's really my advice. Don't build everything in one go. Just take breaks between your builds. Like even a day between is really nice, because you can come up with ideas on things that you've been stuck with. So you see me now go to the tailoring room. It's the last production room that has to be finished. And at this point I set myself, okay, it has to be finished now, and I don't want to leave until it is done. You saw me delete there like the leather working bench. I just built this castle like I was like endgame, and the leather working bench only makes like bags and saddles. Once you made a saddle for your horse and you made the biggest bags, you don't really need the bench anymore. And by removing it, it felt like I could finish it. It was the piece that was missing, like having a bit too much in the room. And you see me finishing the tailoring room here, and I think it turned out quite okay. A very simple, basic tailoring room. So I'm doing a quick check here to see if I've done everything, and putting up some decorations that were missing. And then we move on to the last floor, where I will make the final bits of the castle. I can tell you about that I'm just putting stuff, but that's really all I'm doing. I decided to on the top make the master suite, the servant room, and like a small dining room. I thought later as well that the dining room could have also been like a worshipping altar. But that's all in hindsight. Like any castle build that I have, again, I would change things. Even, you know, the Bluestone Citadel, which is my most viewed video, if I would rebuild it today, it would be a different castle. There would be a lot of changes. So you see me here decorating. After the rooms are done, because we're nearing the end of the thingy of this of the time lapse. What I also do is I do a check, and the check for me is, are the colors, mainly colors, are they right? Am I using the same type of decorations over? What I found later is that certain decorations I wasn't using the gold version, or certain colors of curtains or benches were not blue but white. So those type of mistakes I would fix. And that's basically what I do at the very end. So while we watch the last few moments of the build that I recorded, so I didn't record the check that I did later and the small adjustments I would do. I'd like to thank you for, if you're still here, for watching this video. I hope it helps you in any way. We have another video coming to help with building castles and some tips, and that will come in a couple of weeks. If you want to see the full build of this castle, you have to wait a week. We'll release it then, and you get to find out the background story as well. And we hope you like it, and we hope to see you for more videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.